Okay, so we're looking at a pamphlet for a cult. Yeah, that'll be lore important. Go ahead and pause if you want to read the pamphlet. I threw it up there for emphasis. Hi, I'm Mycroft Holmes.
And I'm Falconeer 111. Welcome back.
I apologize for any stuttering. As I said, it was kind of difficult to get this to run.
Hey, it's the yellow
It
sign.
kept crashing at base spec, so I had to bump it back to DirectX 9.
Yeah.
And if you'll notice, that was a Lovecraft reference.
And
The yellow sign fish market.
I swear. No, wait, that's something else. But yeah. Oh. And hey, there's a piece of buzzing lore. Or that's not the word. But yeah. You want to cover the buzzing, or would you like me to?
I brought you here because you're the big lore expert. And let's watch this little cutscene with an insane man.
There's a storm coming. Mundo storm. Paint your glass houses shut.
But yes, the buzzing is about the bees.
Yeah, those bees you saw, they know a lot of very, very strange things. And instead of finding documents or whatever, you will be if you play this, you'll find those little squares full of hexes, and they'll give you a paragraph of nonsense that if you wade through it, it'll tell you something about the world. Like that particular one tells you about the nature of the bees themselves, or rather, it is full of words that vaguely relate to the bees themselves.
Another Lovecraft reference, that man has an elder sign pin.
Yes, he does. I didn't see that. The upside down pentagram. Ish.
Yes. That's one of the two known elder sign forms.
Is the other one the yellow sign?
No, the other one is the tree-shaped one. And we've just fainted, and now we're going to see what happened in Tokyo, which was briefly mentioned in the last video.
If I remember, I'll see what this sequence ends up looking like. If I remember right, this sequence happened when the fight with the big monster in New York did in the original.
It's all shut down.
So I'm certain that somebody is going to come by the thread and tell me how wrong I am, but I'm pretty sure that when you passed out, while you were awakening, you came in here for a version of this cutscene.
Something worse. Something that brought the filth with it. So we fight.
Those three characters, by the way, were featured in the first three trailers. Left to right now.
Right, so...
Thank Gaia.
Yep.
And the
filth. The filth are insanely important to the backstory. Because they're the filth.
The filth is just... It is absolutely vital. It's so full of spoilers. So I'm trying to hold myself back every time something comes up.
Speciality
but,
spot.
Do you know fun thing about Mei Ling there and what's her face to the right? They made I remember maybe a few years ago. I think just before they released Legends, one of the devs dropped. Apparently, those two are dating, and it was like a whole thing that emerged and people were talking about. Brody. But yeah, welcome to the filth.
Yeah, I've got armor-piercing rounds right now. Yeah, at low levels you do piddly amounts of damage, so these three are going to essentially carry us through this whole sequence.
It's gone viral so fast. If this gets out into Tokyo, we stop it here, whatever it takes.
thinking if Tokyo was really in this condition, the economy would be collapsing.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is, who even knows of this kind of setting? It's entirely possible they managed to cover it up somehow.
Well, they said it was a terrorist attack in lore. But, yeah. Anything where you have to quarantine the entire city of Tokyo would collapse the global economy pretty bad.
Yeah.
New plan. Fight chaos with chaos. Keep the bastards at a distance, then take them out.
That's your plan?
Well, it's a plan.
You've got points, Sarah.
That's right.
I'm not sure if it's ever explained in lore how you carry infinite ammo. I think it's the nature of you being bees.
Actually, if you're not actually shooting bullets when you use guns, that if you look at it, I mean, okay, this was the original when there was no ammo mechanics at all, except directly through various abilities. Like you didn't get the. I don't know how this squares up with your ammo with this system. It used to be you weren't actually using guns, or if you were using guns. Some of them might have been real guns, but they were like empty magazines. You were shooting magic out of it. It was no less a focus than like a book you might carry around. It just happened to manifest as stuff that was like magic bullets. It's why like real life shotguns don't shoot huge cones like that. They shoot pellets that spread a lot, but they don't do that kind of spread. And the reason it actually spreads is because it's shaped by your perception of what you're shooting, because it's essentially a miniature magic spell. That's probably something like what's going on here, but who knows how they tweak it. It used to be in the original.
Yeah, there's also...
It used to be in the...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you first.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of shit they try to milk you for because it's a free-to-play. One of those is outfits. Yeah. They love milking you for outfits.
I remember they loved, they had so many dumb little pets that you could buy or that you got through random events.
They still do.
Yeah. I do remember they used to sell, they had boutiques, and there were a couple of different currencies that you could use for things, but that weren't like, I don't think I ever bothered doing anything with it other than just going into boutiques and spending money on random clothing. Like,
that's pretty much still true.
Okay, this is that guy. I was going to comment on him not being around earlier, because he's like, those three are members of various factions. That guy is sort of a neutral character. He shows up in a lot of like trailers and stuff.
Making a stand wasn't working out.
Yeah, you really get the sense that these three factions are real, and that there's this whole ecosystem of troubleshooters and neutral third-party mercenaries.
Actually, let me put it this way. For a lot of games like this, when they say factions, they're talking as much about like what might be nations or militaries or organizations. These feel like actual factions that are part of a broader system. They're all interconnected. They all have equivalents and opponents, but that are not like stuff that's being boiled down to the word faction. It is quite literal. If you'd agree.
I like that because we're magic, we can suddenly do backflips.
I think eating bees gives you all kinds of access to all kinds of good.
Something's coming out of the ground.
What the bloody hell is that thing?
Oh god, it's Calamity Ganon.
Watch out.
I'm not joking. It pretty much is Calamity Ganon.
I'm just looking at those areas. the sliding attack that brought back bad memories. There were some later bosses in the original that attack that did a lot of that would just they'd start doing that and then nail you faster than you could move, which was irritating.
Yeah, they've
like I said earlier that this sequence is in the original. This fight is not. The graphics have been greatly punched up, and there's a lot more content. There might have been a boss fight like this, but the whole thing's much more like.
They're not stopping.
And they will not stop.
Look out!
This is
It's
all
all
to
coming
hold us
down.
back.
And now we get to see what the filth wants. Reality to break at the seams.
The filth is dreaming and wants to wake up.
Also, corrupted sun, very important imagery.
Yes.
Also, you probably shouldn't stand at the ledge of something and faint.
Look, I mean, if you're looking out and seeing this, you probably shouldn't stand on the ledge, close to it.
Yeah,
under any
ledges in general are to be avoided.
Yeah, and
especially when it leads to a void.
Or at least a void full of what appear to be planets so close their gravitational fields should be ripping them apart. So whatever is going on there is that deserves a rim shot.
I know the feeling. We're on the edge of it.
Fun note, her dog tags say Funcom, which is the the company that owns Secret World Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. Looks like you've got some training to do before you're ready for your first kill. You want to do what your letter says. Go speak with Sonak at the Templars gaff. It's not far, you can't miss it. Honest, it's unmissable.
I completely blanked on the fact I gave him Sephiroth hair.
Well, so to speak, it's not nearly long enough. And lore, by the way.
I'm not going to be collecting all the lore because some of it is a bitch to get. But if I see it, I will pick it up.
Like the one you just missed.
Yes, I did not see that room recording, so I did not pick it up.
Yeah, there are so many. They are, though. Like, lore is basically your collectibles in this game. I think there might be other collectibles and such, but that's where you go looking for. If you go looking for, instead of looking for like trophies or whatever, you find and you can go. They form like sequences, and once you've assembled, you can go into like this whole lore browser. You can check which, if you have see if you have part 1, 2, and 4 of a 5-part story about some monster.
Yeah, let me give you an example. I don't know if this was true in the original, but to get a piece of lore about demons, you must complete all 3 demon dungeons, and in each demon dungeon you must flip a switch. A hidden switch. You must do this for all 3, and you must do this within, like, 3 hours. So you have to, within 3 hours, run 3 separate dungeons, flipping a secret switch in each. And then you get the lore piece.
Or you could find one of those, there's like at least 2 wikis. Like a wiki in a database.
Yeah, all this is online, so if you want more of it, go look for it, because I'm not going to hold your hand there.
Come in.
And Richardson.
I'm very pleased you can follow directions on the back of a card. It is the basis for us getting along famously.
Every faction has a handler. And Sonic here is by far the nicest one. Apparently they all do. Another weird piece of trivia. They all, Templar, Illuminati, and Dragon handlers apparently play poker once a week. So, like, when I say factions, that's,
we are not
they're...
Templar. That particular appellation went out in the...
I like how he mentioned this isn't some shitty Dan Brown novel.
Yes. This is...
21st century
Well, yeah.
Let's say a forward.
It's much better written than
Oh, yes.
the Da Vinci Code or whatever crap.
There are characters in here that are just deliberately cartoon characters, and some are better than others, but most of them are solid. And the big ones are usually pretty solid.
Yeah, they really flesh out these characters, make them feel like people.
And there's stuff that's going. There's stuff that's basically describes everything in this game. There's stuff that will gradually become clear about most of these characters as time goes on, and that it develops. It turns out that there's a whole factional struggle within the faction going on around Richard that never really comes up in the main plot, but is talked about by several characters. Comes up in the lore. It comes up in. You're probably not going to go hunt down. There's a lot of people hanging around the faction hubs that have random weird things to say and talk about.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to do that. I encourage you, the viewer, to get this free-to-play game and go do that.
And
also, none of the faction homeworlds are locked off. Like I, as a Templar, can't go to the other hubs.
And there are areas you can't access if you're not of the part of the right. Like this building we're in right now, if you're a Dragon or Illuminati, I don't think you can go in here, and vice versa. But you can go into the rest of the. This is London is the Templar base. New York is the Illuminati base. Seoul is the Dragon base, and you can go as a Templar to London, to New York or Seoul, and just go exploring and gathering random bits of lore and talking to the people there.
And all the lore is accessible, even if you aren't part of the faction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the lore is outside.
This is me mind farting on where to find the SMS.
And there's one of my favorite things about this game is that it looks like they've actually updated it. In the original, that was just it opened up a little window that looked like anything else, and now it looks like a little bit like you're actually opening something up in an app or something. But
this is how you level up weapons. You just kind of fuse shit together.
That's brand new. There was like an augmentation system that I never bothered using.
Yes, there are no separate. There are a few unique weapons, but other than that, most of what you get is generic, and you just slam it together to upgrade it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I remember right, you just picked up a whole bunch of random weapons that were apparently lying around wherever you were going. And there was something similar to this that I'm struggling to remember any details of. But it was complex, and I never was able to wrap my mind around it. And this it looks like you just literally slam things together and it upgrades stuff. And in there were a whole bunch of sub-conditions of breaking things down. It was just a nightmare. I did not have the time or patience to engage with it.
Yeah, the first stop, like I said in the last video, is New England, in Kingsmouth, named after Stephen King.
The time has come to discuss your upcoming excursion to the colonies. I'm afraid it's business, not pleasure. Recently, a small island community on the New England coast dropped off the map. You can disregard the tiresome government cover-ups. There are dark forces at play. Solomon Island is a rock with infamy. In the past,
Solomon Island, named after, of course, King Solomon. So you know creepy shit's been going on.
Should be aware that we have history with the
now, coming up, there's a shot I like.
Of course, under the flag of truce, we have spatter made up, and now we are the
just the framing of it.
All smiles above the table and drawn knives beneath it. Illuminati are reckless.
I believe it's during this cutscene, but he silhouettes himself against a portrait, so it looks like he has wings.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty Templar.
But let me stress that this is not a rescue operation. Should there be survivors, you cannot announce that you've been chosen to deliver anyone from
This
evil.
is...
Joan of Arc did, and look where that got her. Our goal is the salvation of
There we go.
mankind, not on a case-by-case basis. I understand that may stick in your throat, but, well, halos are fading all over town now that there is so much more at stake.
It's...
Leave as soon as you can. Your travel arrangements have already been made
I
at
don't-
the Eldwick Underground.
I never got anywhere in the Dragon or Illuminati campaign, so to speak. I think I may have started them and gone to this point, or I just played Templars and didn't bother screwing around with them. But I don't remember. I remember him being way more civil about this than they do. The orders are like for the Illuminati, it was go here or we'll screw you over. And for the Dragon, it was the same thing with a bunch of mystical nonsense wrapped around it. Here, they just say, here's your mission. Like, here's your mission.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Dragon. They come across as cheap kung fu movie shit.
They absolutely are. It's
disappointing,
written large, and it's just, yeah, it's for something that is otherwise pretty like well thought out and intelligent and sensitive. It's like they suddenly had some kind of knee-jerk reaction and went, okay, we need something that's we have 2 European secret societies, right? So we should probably make this a little more general and make it a little more international. Let's throw in a bunch of stereotypes and try and weld them together and pretend that that's something that's respected. It kind of stings.
Yeah, but there's not... I don't know how they could have based them on something, because I'm not familiar enough with Asian history to think of a big secret society. Asia has secret societies. I don't know if they have the same sort of secret society narratives we do in Europe and America.
I mean, sometimes they do. China is famously... I have a little bit of experience with Chinese history. China produces secret societies like crazy historically. There's a lot of...
I know, but do they have the sort of...
No, I'm getting to that. They produce... Sometimes these secret societies end up like... If you've heard of the Tongs... Yeah, as in the...
Yes, Chinese
triads. They started as some of those secret societies. Some of them turn into peasant rebellions and straight up mystical. Like, there was a famous one called the Yellow Turban Rebellion, where its leaders were a group of brothers who, according to legend, went up into the mountains, found an ancient sage, and learned how to summon the rain and summon wind, and used that to stage a revolution against the government. And they got crushed. They, according to the legends, they do stuff like throw down paper tigers that would turn into actual tigers and fight as like a part of the army. So I can see that. There's like, but it's not that they don't have they don't have the conspiracy theory narratives that we do, as far as I'm aware at least. And I'm not going to claim to be an expert in this. Can't think of an equivalent to the Illuminati. Say.
Of course, it's perfectly safe. No one's entirely sure how it works. Quite bedeviled the science.
Yeah, that was what I was getting at, but I'm glad to have somewhat of a confirmation. Which is weird, because any place that produces that many secret societies, you'd figure there'd be conspiracy theorists.
I think the big thing is just the international nature of it. That's what makes it... To be honest, I don't know for this for certain again, but I get the impression that they just... that this kind of secret society construction is modern, and by the time it only popped up during like the Enlightenment, and by the time it made it over to other countries, this sort of thing was already there, and they adopted versions of it. It's like I know the Illuminati we know started in the real world, where some guys self-help cult, and they just people ended up stealing the name because they were really secretive and got involved in some dumb political stuff. But I can't think of any alleged international conspiracies in Western history that predate the Enlightenment. Like you get the occasional religious thing where somebody alleges that when we're going back to like Rome, all Christians across the empire are sacrificing and drinking baby blood or whatever. But not this whole broad conspiracy underlying everything, I think, relies on mass media in order to give it any kind of punch. And mass media is a very recent thing. And that might be a big part of it. Because otherwise, it begs the question of how they'd be able to manipulate ideas, and how they'd be able to coordinate. But yeah, long story short, the Dragon are not very great.
Well, that's why I invited you, because you know all this shit.
Yep.
Agartha is way different.
Agartha is its own thing. And I remember it in the original being just a monument of god-awful lag. So it's good to see they've kept that tradition.
No, I remember in the original when I briefly played it, Agartha was literally paths and twisting wires, but they've stripped all that out for a central hub with jump pads that go directly where you need to go.
Yeah, I remember there was like a big convention area where people would, it's the area where people would go to wear whatever crazy thing they'd cobble together and show it off and do dance emotes. But it was like this outside here, this area, and then just a long-ass path, 3 long-ass paths, and that was it. There was no hub area. There was nothing within. You didn't get to go within a tree. Well, they've adopted that part of free-play gaming. Also, don't remember the lore being accessible, like as like obvious or accessible as that.
Yeah, they've very much changed that bit.
And it's like, there are a lot of things about this upcoming area that really disappoint me, and there are a lot of things that I kind of wanted to be disappointed by, but I'm not. And I think we're going to come up on the first part of the ladder with the first character we meet. I remember this music stings so well. Just opening up, going into Solomon Island and hearing this just being not invasive enough to get tiring, but you could just hear it over and over again every time you log back in. The music in this game is actually pretty good. It's not insane, but it is quite solid.
Yeah, I briefly get stuck in the spawn here.
That was not in the original, though I think this boat was. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in Solomon Island's past that's just not immediately relevant. And just gradually.
Yeah, that's what I like. It makes all of the areas you go to feel lived in. They existed before you, they'll exist after you.
Steve Blum is back to reprise his performance as Steve Blum. I want to be disappointed by this jarring random cowboy, but I'm not. He's just great to have around.
I'm a troubleshooter. You and I need to have.
Yeah, he says he's a troubleshooter, so he's not associated with the factions. He is literally just a mercenary in it for himself.
Taking the high road. Just watch you don't get saddle rash from the high horse. Okay.
See, it would be nice I want to think that's lame, but I love it anyway. I don't know. I don't know what that says about me.
No, it's great.
This ain't my first rodeo. I know we're gonna need all the unity we can get.
If I were capable of impressions, I would be doing my Dutch impression of Dutch from Red Dead Redemption 2.
I smell the brimstone. All we know is death and fog came from the sea, or someone brought it back with them.
And that describes the next order of the game, pretty much.
Put money on that still being around.
On this island full of very troubled history.
Yeah, oh yeah, this is
Follow that main road and the sound of gunfire, and you'll come to sheriff's office.
Yeah, we'll meet the Native American tribe in the next area after this, and a lot of what's going on here can be traced back to stuff that happened with them.
Mm-hmm. Stuff that they remember. And there's like there are entire major events that lasted. There are entire major events in areas that you can only find like whole things of lore that have multiple entries that you get through the buzzing. That you just won't find unless you go looking for side quests. And there's a lot of zombies. There's a lot of crazy hidden stuff around here.
Oh yeah, there's a boss in this area. There's a boss in this area that you can only summon if you have all his body parts, and his body parts are hidden and only spawn like once every couple hours, so people will take them and you'll end up with a mismatched set like I have in my other character.
It's I've never been. I didn't.
The end of the world waits for no man.
It's a nice lever action. I used that gun in Fallout. In Fallout New Vegas, but there's a lot of I was too busy thinking about Fallout New Vegas. I lost my train of thought.
Don't worry, that happens to me too.
Yeah, welcome to a bunch of songs. This is where I learned to love my shotgun.
Yeah, this is why I like shotguns. They are so good at crowd clearing.
And this is being one of the very few games that can be both single and multiplayer. Shotguns are a big part of how you play single player. This is one of the things I'm actually slightly disappointed about. And it's not awful, but it's just that you want to start out your game that's about all sorts of ancient, terrifying, mysterious conspiracies, and go for the zombie apocalypse angle. It's not.
I actually enjoy that. It eases you into the crazy.
Else entirely, though. Worth noting.
Yes, but it eases you into the crazy. Like you start, oh, I know zombies. This will be easy, and the next thing you know, you're like, what?
You're looking down there and going, that's not a zombie. And you see things that are definitely not zombies. And
yeah, we'll meet those next video.
And you do get some. There is a mini quest. There's a side quest where the entire quest is you get a chainsaw and you hunt zombies with it until it runs out.
Yeah, I think that's still in here. Some quests aren't. I vaguely remember a motorcycle quest in this area.
That's
not in this version. And here's me having a brain fart trying to figure out what half-eaten corpses they're talking about.
There's a lot of those around there.
Deputy Andy.
Wait, is that an Andy Griffith reference?
I believe it is.
That is, I was not expecting to see that, and I only know about that show because I know the name. I saw a clip once, maybe. That's like
my mom loved that show. And here I am thinking, do I need to blow something up or? Yeah, I just had a brain fart around here.
I don't remember. Yeah, I do not remember the specific quest. This sequence is familiar, but like drawing zombies into fire. Do you know if that was in the original?
I believe so, and there was another quest that was in the. I got to, not to boiler or anything. I got to the academy before I decided, nah, this combat system is terrible. Yeah, this is our first hint that shit's going down.
No, that's not.
That's not a zombie. That's some Left 4 Dead shit.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I guess you could go like the Left 4 Dead route, but it's still kind of pushing it.
If you're just passing, just stop for a burger. Yeah, it gets choppy here. I apologize. The perils of playing an online game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think the next character we meet is one of my favorite in the game. For just very petty reasons. Let's see if it comes up in the conversation we have with her. It should. And by the way, as you finish every quest, whoever gave it to you sends you at least a little text message giving you contact, complimenting you, insulting you, or whatever.
Yeah, they're always very complimentary or, helpful if you're Templar.
Because Sonic isn't a nice person, but he's...
Well, none of them are nice
handler.
people, but yeah, he's not a huge asshole. I'm going to mostly cut out this sort of upgrade stuff from future videos. Unless my inventory gets full, in which case, fuck it.
Solomon County. Let's see, is this...
Heck if I know where you folks keep coming from, but anyone who walks through that door alive...
Again, sorry for the choppiness. It was like this when I was recording.
...colors you sourly to a badge, I'd ask you to call it quits in return. We agreeable? Well then, I'm Sheriff Bannerman, and this down-home little state of emergency is what's left of my jurisdiction. Sure, we tried to hold as much of the town as we could at first. More out of nostalgia than any civil defense plan. I won't tell you Kingsmouth was a slice of heaven in a snow globe, but it was ours. Now it ain't. There was always something running under in this town. Maybe what's spilled out now. If that's how it works, I couldn't say hand on heart we didn't have it coming.
Yeah, they did.
And the things in it, they didn't pick and choose when they came in. Most folks didn't stand a chance. Now, I can see you're armed. I won't kick up any fuss about that. Straight truth is, you'll need to be. Just don't go thinking that means you're deputized as such. Heaven knows if there was ever a time and a place for the right to bear 'em, you're looking at it. Henry has his word of God, that Roger woman has her crystal ball, and Norma out on the point's got a 12 gauge. My money's on Norma.
Norma's badass.
Yeah. You said you're not gonna go down their dialogue lists.
Yes, I'm not. I encourage everyone else to, though. But that's about the end of the video.
Oh, there you go.
Just about a minute left. It's just me updating skills. But we will see you later, and we'll be doing more of the sheriff's office.
Yeah, and thank you very much for watching, everybody.
Thank you. And you can stop.